Ingrid Venecia, aka Vulpisfoglia, aka Suzuman, a member of the Venecia family, married to a Higashi monk and mother to our beautiful Light. Hyperglyph definitely did not miss with her design, and she looks just as good as the rest of the Syracusan operators. Those massive fluffy ears won me over and dethroned Lappy Alter as my top priority operator for this banner. What also caught my attention was how good of a Vanguard Vulpisfoglia is, especially in the Pioneer branch. The last Vanguard we got in this archetype was Kestrel, whose kit was limited to the Reclamation Algorithm mode, and she was mid both in and outside of RA. The previous 6-star Pioneer is Flametail, who was released back in 2022 for Global, but I don't see her getting used very often. Vulpisfoglia is a breath of fresh air for the Vanguards, and hopefully this video can convince you to pull for her and build her if you already have her. Vulpisfoglia is a 6-star Pioneer Vanguard, a great all-around Vanguard archetype with fairly average stats. Literally everything about this archetype is average. Operators in this branch can block 2 enemies, with more emphasis on defense and HP to survive against early stage mobs. Pioneers generally have a longer staying power than Agents and Chargers, acting as an early stage defensive lane holder. Vulpisfoglia is also one of the select few Pioneers capable of dealing both arts and physical damage, allowing her to fight against a large variety of enemies, from trash mobs to shield defenders and maybe in some cases elite enemies, but that will require her to use her skills. Speaking of arch damage, Vulpisfoglia first talent does exactly that. When dealing damage to an enemy for the first time, she deals an additional 30% of her attack as arch damage for 10 seconds. A pair of Vulpo eyes on the enemy indicating that the talent is in effect. This first 10 seconds is the optimal window of time to deal maximum damage and prevents her damage to plummet when her skills are in cooldown. One thing that can counter this talent is, of course, shields. As you can see in this demonstration, the Vulpo eyes do not show up on Eblana, and it only does so when the talent is applied directly to her when her shield is gone. Vulpisfoglia's second talent has 2 parts and have nothing to do with each other. In the first part of the talent, she increases the natural DP recovery rate by 10%. The normal DP recovery rate is 1 DP per second, and this talent would generate 1.1 DP per second, a whopping 0.1 more than usual. Vulpisfoglia is the first operator who can directly influence this mechanic of the game. The difference is very subtle and hard to notice unless you do a direct comparison. Obviously, this talent does not work on annihilation stages and stages that do not have natural DP generation. This could come in handy in CC stages where natural DP recovery debuff is very common. In the main chapters and side stories, this natural DP recovery buff has very little benefit. And additionally, if you have a strong Vanguard lineup, DP is the least of your concern. The second part of the talent allows Vulpisfoglia to heal if she does not take damage for 4 seconds. It behaves almost the same way as Thorns, except it's flipped. This part of the talent solidifies her as an early stage lane holder and gives her more staying power than other Vanguards. This does have a limit, and she can be overwhelmed with large swarms or enemies with high single target damage. Regardless of that, her self-healing capability makes her self-sustainable, allowing you to deploy healers to operators that are needed the most. We all know that the main purpose of the Vanguard archetype is to generate DP. But as I was doing my research for this video, I kept asking myself, what makes a good Vanguard? The answer to this question will vary depending on who you ask, but in my opinion, a good Vanguard must have a good secondary skill or utility. In other words, what can they do aside from printing DP? For example, Texas provides AoE arch damage with crowd control. Bagpipe supercharges all Vanguard's SP and your source of high single target damage. Keep this question in mind as we go through each of Vulpisfoglia's skill. The first skill, Discreet Discipline, is an auto-trigger, low-cycle skill. Her next attack deals 290% of her attack as arch damage and gains 1 DP. Just one. Since it can hold up to 3 charges, Vulpisfoglia can deal arch damage in quick succession. It's a good skill for AFK strat, but you only get 1 DP. 1 DP for every 4 seconds? That is, to be honest, dog shit for a Vanguard. So, what secondary skills does skill 1 provide? There's not much to offer, but this skill does provide a bit of burst arch damage, which is good against 1 or 2 enemies, but easily gets overwhelmed in swarms. One thing I found interesting is that this skill doesn't get buffed by her first talent within the first 10-second window. So where does the 30% damage go? Does it go to her normal attack? It's hard to tell, and there must be something here that I don't understand. So if you guys can help me with that, that would be great, and share your findings in the comments below. Skill 2, Damoclean Interrogation, expands Vulpisfoglia's attack range, matching that of a Lord Guard, immediately gains 7 DP, deals massive arch damage, applies slow up to 6 enemies, and stuns them if they're already slowed. This skill can store up to 2 chargers and can hit air targets too. It's really effective against low to medium resistant enemies. However, there are a few major things that hold this skill back. The first being the really high SP cost, sitting at 20 SP. It's higher compared to Bybik and Iron Skill 2 combined. But this is not a really fair comparison since these 2 guards have offensive recovery skills. A better comparison would probably be Saga Skill 2. She has 1 more charge than Vulpisfoglia, but more importantly, Saga Skill 2 has a lower SP cost. In addition to that, Saga can gain her SP back really quickly by killing enemies. The high SP cost of this skill makes it difficult for Vulpisfoglia to stun the enemies because you need to trigger the skill twice in succession, which requires double the amount of SP. Alternatively, you can use an operator that applies the slow debuff. Not the movement reduction debuff, that is different. Slow applies a constant 80% movement reduction to the enemies. That operator is none other than her daughter, Suzuran. Look at her helping her mommy killing bad guys. Isn't that cute? Suzuran's skill 3 and Vulpisfoglia skill 2 have a great synergy, but the former has a really long cooldown. You can use skill 1 and skill 2 as well, but it requires proper timing in order for Vulpisfoglia to stun. This might just be the first mother-daughter duo in Arknights, and it's fucking adorable. In terms of DP, skill 2 gives you more DP per second at 0.35 compared to skill 1's 0.25. But compared that to skill 3, you get a slightly lower DP per second, but it is tied to a skill that is miles better than skill 2. One weird quirk of skill 2 is that it cannot hit enemies behind Vulpisfoglia, but operators with similar attack range can attack enemies behind them. What the hell? So, in terms of secondary skills, skill 2 offers crowd control by using slow and stun. It's effective against swarms of trash mobs and medium enemies, and the slow effect should be able to buy you some time to finish your deployments. The attack multiplier is really good, but again, the high SP cost is holding it back. You can bring in a Desel Binder to allow Vulpisfoglia to stun enemies easier, but is it worth spending the extra operator slot just for that purpose? Yes, always bring your daughter to work day, they look so adorable together! Skill 3 is Ingrid's Bread and Butter, or Espresso and Cornetti, or Spaghetti and Bolognese. Whichever pair is the best matchup in Italian terms. This skill is what makes her the ultimate assassin. Skill 3 immediately gives Vulpisfoglia 9 DP. Her attack range increases by 1 tile, she gets an attack buff, an attack speed buff that decays over time, and each attack Vulpisfoglia stun the enemies for 0.2 seconds. If she defeats an enemy during the skill duration, she gains camouflage until skill 3 is used again. Despite what the skill description says, the enemies don't have to be blocked. Rather, Vulpisfoglia can attack enemies equal to her block count, which is 2 in this case. Come on Yostar, fix your damn translation. This skill has a low cycle with really high damage output, making it spammable. Its 10-second duration fits perfectly within the Talent 1 Arts buff window, which theoretically allows Vulpisfoglia to deal both physical and arch damage. Out of the 3 skills, skill 3 is the only one that does not deal arch damage. but the attack and attack speed buff packs a lot of punch, which allows Vulpisfoglia to take on a wide range of enemies. Trash mobs, done. Bosses, dead. The micro stuns are similar to Texas skill 3. It might seem short, but the speed at which it's delivered allows Vulpisfoglia to interrupt enemy attacks. And when the timing is done correctly, she can heal while attacking at the same time, which makes her excellent for a 1v1 dueling session. In addition to that, the stuns can be amplified using appropriate relics in IS game modes. The camouflage is a great addition to this skill, giving her a longer staying power and makes her self-sustainable. The camouflage only protects Vulpisfoglia from range attacks, but she still can take hits from splash damage, and it disappears momentarily when she is blocking. Skill 3 gives you 9 DP. It's not much compared to the likes of Myrtle and Texas, but the short cooldown makes this skill quite competitive in printing DP. Because of how good this skill is, I keep her in the field for the entire duration of the stage for most of the time. I also forgot to mention that if you pair this skill with Suzuran's skill 3, Vulpisfoglia can tear through pretty much anything. In summary, skill 3 is like a match. It starts strong and over time the fire fizzles out. The low SP cost makes it spammable, and the camouflage ensures that Vulpisfoglia can remain longer in the field without needing that much healing. For mastery priority, skill 3 definitely gets the highest priority here, followed by skill 1 and skill 2, because it has the best synergy with her talent. At M3, it gives a significant increase on her attack and attack speed buffs and lowers the SP cost from 20 to 18. For skill 2, M3 gives 20 initial SP, which give 1 full charge of the skill, allowing her to apply slow immediately. The damage multiplier also gets a massive increase from 245% to 300%, but the high SP cost is still a bit of a problem here. Vulpisfoglia came with the Soul X module. This module changes her trait by giving her a small attack and defense buff while blocking enemies. Her talent also improves, allowing her to deal more arch damage. To be honest, this module is not that good. The attack and defense buff makes barely any difference, at 8%, which is tiny as fuck. It's not a bad idea to get it, but I'd rather wait for her second module to be released, Soul Y, which will reduce her DP cost by 4, and it's a more impactful upgrade than the X module. This will allow you to deploy Vulpisfoglia much earlier, and she will cost only 10 deployment points at pot 1 or 8 DP at pot 6. Fun fact, the last 3 Pioneer Vanguards, including Vulpisfoglia, were released on limited banners. The Pioneer Vanguard branch has been the most underdeveloped Vanguard class in the last couple of years, but Vulpisfoglia brought a new light to this almost forgotten archetype. While taking a break from writing this script, someone asked me if Vulpisfoglia is better than Saga, in a Rainbow Six Siege match of all places. For Saga, she needs to constantly trigger her skill 2 to keep her damage up, and it falls off the cliff whenever it's against tougher enemies. And in terms of damage, Vulpisfoglia outperforms pretty much all Pioneer Vanguards in that department. Skill 1 is a quick cycle skill good for AFK with an added burst damage. Skill 2 is an AoE crowd control skill that somewhat works, but takes too much SP to charge. And skill 3 being the only skill that actually has good synergy and makes Ingrid one of the most powerful Vanguards in Arknights. Despite her flaws, Vulpisfoglia is a Vanguard worth your investment. If you have Suzuran, you are obligated to have Vulpisfoglia and at least build her to Elite 1, because nothing is more wholesome than a family getting together and killing enemies together. We've received enough depression in this game, we need something wholesome for God's sake. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to give it a like. Also follow me on Blue Sky, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!
Suzu Mom!
Suzu Mom!
Get the man!
Please give me Suzu Mom!
Let go! Let go!
Let's go, let's go, Suzuran.
Holy
Please, Ingrid.
He's gonna lose 50-50. Lose 50-50. Lose 50-50.
No. Suzuran. Please.
No, Opana.
You must be the incredible
Damn.
doctor Lisa always mentions in her letters.
I can die
I
happy
am
now.
done. I don't want to talk to Fizz anymore.
Okay, so
It
now
is pretty
buy
good.
every single skin.
No.
Yeah, buy every single skin.
Gamer,
Not really good.
you need potential 6 Suzuran.
Nah, I can't afford that.
I have potential 2.